Alrighty. Anybody tuning in early or watching the replay more accurately, please consider liking and subscribing because, of course, nobody's tuned in right now, so the only people watching would be those watching the replay. But we're gonna go ahead and switch to my screen. So cool, I got a stream deck. Cute little toy. So what we're doing here is looking at a crooked screen. We better straighten that out. Alrighty, there we go. So we just did a plate solving operation here, and I'm guessing the application is going to ask me to synchronize. So basically, I'm centered on the star known as Aldebaran, and there's a story behind this that I'm going to share tonight. But as you can see, even though Aldebaran is in the center, or practically in the center, almost, for all intents and purposes, it is. I actually had to recenter it manually, and so this application thinks it's not in the center. And so I'm going to go ahead and I already ran the scan. Basically, I provided an image to this application, and it updated the coordinates. It basically looked at the constellations, and it said, hey, you're really looking over here, not over here. And when I click yes, it's going to update the numbers over here. But even cooler, this is going to most likely move a little bit. And so let's go ahead and click yes. And boom, there we go. Now see, now it's a little off center, but I mean, we're basically on the star, just the scope isn't dead center on it. Could we center it? Yeah, we could totally. We could press the button. It'll say that it's centering it. Wait, did it? Did it? Is it? Oh. Now we're on the center. And so in the next exposure, you may see some zigzag squiggly lines, and then you're going to see nothing? Yeah, I guess we see nothing, but ideally it would have been centered to be, oh. Okay, well, this program was like not happy when I did that because this program is responsible for keeping us on target. And so when the camera moved, it was like, what the hell is going on? There we go. So that was more, that's what we expect to see. And now we're basically centered, you know, good enough. You're not going to have perfection on, you know, any kind of mechanical component. Now, are we sufficiently in focus? I don't know. We're just going to crank it in by 5 steps on the stepper motor and see if it gets worse. So, I'm watching a YouTube channel called Clobbering Times, and a friend of the channel, Raquel which one? Raquel Briggs, is selling a book, and I believe it is a science fiction book. Well, of course, it's science fiction, and what's really cool is it's got, where is it? Okay, well, she's the first officer. I thought it was a book about first officer. I got a little excited. It's like, all right, first officer is going to be a spaceship book. But in any case, okay, so we got some tales. And there's a hardcover for 26 bucks. But if I buy that, I have to wait for it to ship. And I think I'm going to do it. 13 days. Oh, that's brutal. That's the problem with self-publishing is you got to wait for this stuff. I may just buy the ebook and then buy the hardcover like next week because, you know, I don't have any patience. But I like buying hardcover copies of books from friends because, you know, why not, you know? And that's exactly what I'm doing here. I'm going to tell these folks, got to get the Kindle book now since I'm not patient. And for sure. Canadian dollars. Is this a Canadian link? Do I have to like update the yeah, I think I gotta search for this on American Amazon here. Of course, I just realized that I don't think this is the most non, no, there's a lot of titles like that, right? You know, so I may have to let me see here. Maybe if I type in this, or if I do, I just put 3 G's in there. I hope I can get this in American Amazon. Oh, I can get this on American Amazon. So a little off topic, but right now, yeah. So I'm gonna do this on my other monitor, and while that's happening, you know, we'll just see this update. So, is it in focus? Probably. Um, or not. I'm not really sure to be honest. We can crank down the exposure setting a lot, and then verify it like that. So we can go down to like half a second, crank up our, you know, whatever. And this star is dancing around a little bit more than I would like it to, but I'm just gonna put up with it because I'm not really sure what part of the mechanism I have to fight with. What the hell just happened? Oh, the auto guiding is gonna freak out. Yeah, and it did. It freaked out. It's like it sees the thing moving. You're really not supposed to move while you're guiding. But what I'm trying to do is manually center this, even though it's totally unnecessary. You know what I mean? Now we could go ahead and while focusing, let this calibrate because I have some doubts that this is calibrated. So what I do is I do like shift and what we refresh it. Then we're gonna do shift click, and this is gonna move it down, up, left. It's basically gonna like move against it. It's gonna like how do I phrase it? Basically, it wants to see is this thing lined up on the X and Y axis. So it's locking on the target. Then it's gonna command the mount to move down. It's gonna look at the star drift, and it's gonna determine is it drifting in an expected manner or is it drifting, you know, in a manner that can be calibrated for. And hopefully the answer to that is yes. And so at this point, we don't even need to take any images because it's doing a time exposure, but we can take advantage of this as an opportunity to make sure we have a object in focus. It's probably in focus. So If anything, it gets a little colder tonight, and that will, level it out. Typically, I set it to gain 1700. Gain is like ISO on a SLR camera, and we would set it higher, but I've learned recently that you get better dynamic range, better contrast, more detail at this setting. So I've been working with that setting. And anytime I'm doing, alignment routines, I name the star this, and I just take out the last 4 letters after I'm done aligning everything so that I can resume normal imaging. And it looks like this is not calibrating. It lied to me. Let's do this again. Okay, shift, click, OK. Now it's calibrating. Okay, so I didn't click, I must have not held the shift key down properly. So now, we just let it do its thing. Now it's going to actually move against. And in the meantime, I'm on Amazon looking up the book by R.M. Briggs. And for some reason, my computer is. Okay, good. I found it on American Amazon. I got it. The link is too long for. Am I allowed to do that? There we go. Trouble opening book? No. I'm allowed to open my book. Different story. So I'm on the Amazon Kindle store, and the funny thing that happens is if you have like a book on like 5 different devices on, Amazon Kindle app or Amazon Cloud Reader, it'll basically tell you can't open the book you paid for. It'll be like you have it on too many devices. And I get it. Like they don't want you to put it on 5,000 different devices. That's funny. So basically what the this 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 oof. Large declination backlash. Well, it is correct calibration, so I'm gonna accept the calibration, but that is questionable. Like I'm gonna probably have to do like a little tune up on the rig tomorrow, and I mean I'm not gonna hyper tune it, but there's a whole procedure where people will take apart their, telescope mount to perform a hyper tuning on it. And basically, it's like you take it apart, you lubricate the shit out of it, you clean off the old grease, and then you lubricate it. You do all this crap to it. You hope that you don't break it. And then you can, hopefully have, a super tuned telescope mount, something that will give you superior function over, what you had brand new, as well as what I'm encountering right now, which is like apparently like worse. And I'm not sure why that's happening, but I mean, I'll have to tolerate it for now. Beyond that, we're off target again, and part of that is because of the calibration routine I did. And part of it is because I think it's time to update my plate solve and resync it. So we're going to resync it right now with the most recent image. And it's going to analyze the image. It's going to look at the constellations around the frame. So basically, it knows this star is, in one position with relation to these stars. It probably knows something about magnitudes, and once it computes the, real position I'm in, it's going to update the position of this reticle. So, might do a reading of a book tonight. I'm like annoyed that I bothered to, uncover the scope tonight, but at the same time, I'm glad I did, because I think it's time I just do a recalib, do a like, well, I'm not going to super tune it. Definitely not going to take apart the mount, but maybe there's a loose screw, because a week or two ago, I discovered that one of the problems I was having with my telescope, with the focusing mechanism to be accurate, was easily solved. Yeah, it's basically on target. I'm going to tell it to center it anyway, even though we were already on target, just to be on the safe side. And then I'm going to go back here. I'm assuming I'm basically in focus, and this motion blur is because it was recentering the target, I guess. Let's see what happens here. Auto guiding is engaged, and it says the guiding errors aren't too bad. I may not have given this the sharpest focus, but I'm not really trying to go outside in the cold right now. And generally that should be a good enough lock. That might be why I had some problems. So I can, lower the gain a bit to try to make it, a pointier peak. Or I could pick a different star as my guide star. Oh, and actually, well, apparently we're not even guiding right now, so I can go ahead and look for a different star if I like a different star more. It looks like these guys here are just not bright enough. We could crank them up a bit. We typically don't like using stars at the edge of our field. We want a star with a nice, clean, what we call a centroid. Basically, a star that is bright enough, but something that the software can like look at and say, this is the center of this star. And as you can see, some of these stars are really too dim, but as I try to brighten up those stars, I get something to work with. And even though I don't like using stars at the edge, realistically, it should be good enough. It is dancing around a lot, isn't it, though? I mean, that is a little problematic. Now, I could shorten the exposure to half a second. But sometimes you use a longer exposure time to level out variation between exposures. But we're going to try this half-second exposure. And, well, it's as close to the center as I'm going to try to get it. You know, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. So what is the story behind Aldebaran? Well, Aldebaran is a star in, I believe, the Taurus. Yep, the Taurus constellation. You can see, get a little yawn here now, huh? And, well, basically, it's a nice bright star. It has a story. Let's see if we got freaking some info about it. Okay, the application is it's a variable double star. So in theory, if you zoom in on it enough, you might be able to get like distinguish the double stars, which I don't really think you could, but it happens. Many stars will look like a single star, and then with the right tools, with the right skill, you can resolve that. You can see both stars. Now, what makes this star special? Well, I was going to show you a comic about this star, but because I got to delete it from my Kindle app first. All right, so I'm reopening the book on Kindle right now. Hopefully it'll open this time because what the I literally removed the book from this device so that it wouldn't be what the fuck? That's fucking funny. So I'm looking at the Kindle app here. And apparently Amazon actually lets you do this. Of course, it's upside down. I should really rotate this. So let's see here. We're going to do transform. So Amazon actually says if you permanently delete this title, it will be gone from all of your devices. And if you wish to read it again, you got to repurchase it. What kind of feature? Why would anybody do that? No, of course I don't want to do that. I was just trying to remove it from this device in such a way that I would be able to open it on this. Because apparently Amazon's DRM is like saying nuh-uh, and excuse me. Yeah, I probably should have streamed earlier. So I was just trying to open this stupid book here. Like, I don't give a shit if Amazon don't want me opening up that book. And I just want to see if it lets me open this. Whatever, I don't care. I just want to open this comic. So I click it, Amazon be like, so I think I have to deauthorize it maybe? I don't know. I'm not rebuying the freaking book. I'm not rebuying the effing book. Not gonna happen. I paid for it once. It says I paid for it once. Can't open book Kindle Cloud Reader because Amazon's a bunch of cheap cunts. Nah, fuck you. Oh wait, actually, that does give me an idea. Now, I don't want to read the book in this app because this app, the Windows 10 app, whoops, I did not mean to open it on that computer. So I'm connected to a remote computer and I just tried opening the effing Amazon app and now it's installing an updated Amazon Kindle app on my laptop, which like is not what I was trying to do, right? I'm pretty sure that's my laptop, right? Whatever, yeah, sure. Okay, let's make sure. Oh wait, this is okay, good. I'm on the correct computer. Okay, good. I thought I opened it on a remote machine. That would have sucked. But I wonder if this is the whoops, didn't mean to do that. Well, let's see how this behaves. Maybe they've updated the app not to suck. Because I remember this app used to suck. And yeah, this is the one that sucks. So you know this is the app that sucks because when you go to zoom in on a thing, you don't get the proper guided mode and you know the image kind of scales up to look like crap. It's not total crap, but it's not like the prettiest scaling up. So of course, what I want to do is read it on the Amazon website. And I'm not getting that option because they want me to close excess tabs, which I don't have any other tabs open. I'm not running the Amazon book reader on any other device. Now, I can go to my other phone and delete it from the library if that would satisfy Amazon, but I'm pretty sure if they're just being a bunch of cheapskates here and making my life harder at the same time. So anyway, this is an interesting little thing. When I click the lightning bolt, it stretches the histogram and you can see more stars. And if I unstretch it, you see fewer stars. So it's like little, kind of interesting. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do maybe 30-second exposures. And we're going to do it in LRGB, but really I'm more interested in the red, green, and blue. So it takes one blank exposure in the beginning and more after that. And what I really wanted to do was talk about the Joe Haldeman book, Forever War, but now I must wait. Alrighty, well that got stretched like crazy, but that is more, there we go. So I cranked open my window a little bit because it got a little cold. Well, it got a little warm in here because I've been running my tower all day. So anyway, while this is happening, I'm going to switch to my desk camera. I'm going to open up the chat room dock. And we're going to have to go back to OBS. And put this in here on the side here, maybe. But yeah, I found the R.M. Briggs book on American Amazon. I put a link below for anybody who might be interested. It seems like a collection of sci-fi stories. Heck, the lady's a sweetheart, so I'm willing to buy her book and give it a chance. And I think it's going to be good because this lady has good taste in science fiction. So these are two phone cases that are really good. This is the OtterBox Defender, and I actually just put it on my Note 8 today. I usually had this, I actually misplaced this case for a long time, didn't need it. And I generally don't like it, but it's a clean looking case. It's in mint condition, and I kind of just bought it for the heck of it back when I had this phone. I currently use the Galaxy Fold, but I kind of like, you know, find that the Galaxy Fold is not a durable phone. As you can see here, I got like this little rainbow color in the middle of my screen. You can usually see the rainbow color on a white screen. You see those two spots right here. And that's a testament to this phone not being durable. So anyway, as cool of a gimmick as it is not built to the same standard, or, you know, for better or for worse, it cannot be built to the same standard as the standardized type of phone that we're all accustomed to. The, you know, whatever you call this. What is this called? A bar phone? No, it's not called a bar phone. That's the old type. But, you know, slab of glass. The phablet. See, actually, if anything, the Galaxy Fold is a phablet because it's a phone and it's definitely a tablet. Okay, so that would make it a phablet. I remember reading some phone review website years ago, and they coined the term a phablet, phone and tablet in one. Basically, a phone that's kind of unwieldy and big. And I think it was an appropriate name. I don't think the term phablet quite caught on. I mean, certainly didn't really penetrate mainstream parlance. But this here is the OtterBox Commuter. So while that case was the OtterBox Defender, the OtterBox Commuter is basically a piece of rubber on the inside, followed by a piece of plastic on the outside. And there's different ways to put the case on. Usually what I like to do is fish these two battery covers out the bottom and then put it on so that we get like we basically get like, there we go, you know, it just kind of slides in there. And then if you get these two rubber things through the, you know, USB and headphone port, the rest of it comes together, you close them up, and now everything's on. And it doesn't look like it affords a lot of protection, but it is a good hybridized protection case here. And so what we have here is, I really like how this camera can be manually focused, is the hard plastic shell with rubber corners. And in fact, these rubber corners have like air pockets in them. And basically when you drop the phone, it will absorb that impact. Hey, what's up, Moira Kitty? It's good to see you. So we're doing a little astrophotography here. So I'll just show you the night sky right now. And well, you know, this is a star called Aldebaran. And I was going to tell a story. In fact, I could tell the story, but showing the pictures, well, that will be a little trickier, although I think I can do that. Basically, Aldebaran is a star in the Taurus constellation. And I believe if we type the letter C on the keyboard, we can see the Taurus constellation here. I don't know if that looks like a Taurus. I don't know what a Taurus is. I think it's like a cow or a goat or some bullshit like that. I should really be taking a picture of this one here. This is the Pleiades, the Seven Sisters, and I mean, it's way prettier, but every time I take a picture of it, all I get are the fucking stars. I don't get this beautiful blue shit. So I may give it a chance, because what I learned recently was, with these current settings, when you take a picture of a gas cloud or a nebula, it looks like this, and then you hit the lightning bolt and boom, it comes to life. So I'm going to give it a shot. I don't know if you're still watching. I might still have one viewer, one concurrent viewer. It says chat rate 2 views. Well, I got 2 views. I'll take 2 views and 1 like. All right. So anyway, that is what we have on screen now, but I am going to be moving on to more interesting targets. I'm not really keen on the Pleiades, but maybe I should go and aim at the Pleiades before it falls too low in the horizon to capture. I was basically planning to get some red, green, and blue, you know, filter images of Aldebaran. In fact, we're already like way into it, so we gotta switch to red. And I think I have a bunch of images of Aldebaran, so I may not need that many. I may be able to just, well, get some imagery I didn't get last week and then just combine it. But real quick, I went to turn on my old phone, which is actually a really good phone. The Galaxy Note 8 is just a solid performer, even for an older model. It's got a very robust chassis. You know, it's got waterproofing. It's not as delicate as this folding phone here. And what I want to see is, you know, can I open up the Forever War on this phone? And then can I download it to this phone? And then can I delete it from one of these phones so I could read it on another phone? And I'm thinking that Amazon is just kind of beating me on the head right now. Ah, here we are. Good. Okay. It's got a list of all my Android devices that have a copy of this book. So if I remove it from all of these books, all of these devices, I should now be able to open it from the computer. So we're going to go ahead and pop into it. And then I could go to my main display and see if this book will finally open these Okay, no, they actually give me an option here. Okay, yeah, let's try out the new comic book experience. That sounds great. So, what we do here is, this book is actually why I'm taking pictures of the star known as Aldebaran. The aliens in this story are called the Taurans, and they come from the Taurus constellation. They come from the area around Aldebaran. Except that the people in the book decided that humans, Americans, couldn't pronounce the name of this star correctly, so they just called the aliens the Taurans instead of the Aldebaranians. And basically, the comic book kind of skips ahead, but it starts off with a bunch of soldiers in spacesuits, in battle armor spacesuits of sorts, on a asteroid or small planetoid in the outer reaches of our solar system, somewhere way past Pluto, where it's like bloody cold. And their boot camp training consists of basically like being shot at by real drones. And in this part, there's like a woman in the bottom of this pit, and her job is like basically to like detach her leg from a rock that it got lodged into, because you know her job was to put a bomb, to defuse a bomb, or put a bomb down there, and then climb out while the timer was running. Except when her foot got stuck in the rock, she ran out of time, and basically Cortez, the drill sergeant, basically told her, okay, be careful, you got less than a minute. She started making it out. He tells her, you better run, girl, run. So she starts running, and at the 30-second mark, he says, all right, Bavanovich, get down on your stomach and lie still, which is really good advice when, you know, something's about to blow up. Except she thought maybe she can get a little bit further. And, well, in the middle of her leap, as the explosion happens, something hit her in the head. And you can see the blood streaking out. It left like an icy trail of blood on the surface of this rock, on this moon or asteroid. And everyone's all kind of depressed and shit. And then they kind of skip back to, like, I don't know, boot camp training on Earth. I'm not really sure what's going on here, but let's see if we can zoom in, because one of the problems with the Amazon comic book reader when they bought out the Comixology app, they screwed up the experience quite a bit. Like on an Android device, you could double tap and it'll zoom. Like, see, this is not working. I'm using the zoom wheel on my mouse, and instead of like zooming in, it's like freaking. Oh my god, this is awful. This is an awful experience. Yeah, Amazon really screwed the pooch on this. Can I like zoom in on it? Okay, I can zoom in like that. Oh, that is awful. So, yeah, this is a disaster trying to zoom in on the comic. Say, next page. Oh my god, I gotta double click on it every time I want to zoom. That is brutal. So basically, a colony ship was going out, and it got blown up, and a tiny bit of DNA got picked up by a drone, because every one of these colony ships would be followed by a drone. And, well, they realized, hey, we identified some alien DNA, like tiny bit of, I don't know, amino acids or some crap. And basically, the United Nations Expeditionary Force decides they got to go out there and seek vengeance on these aliens. So basically, a bunch of old generals from the previous war they now have an excuse to go out and have a good time, doing stuff. The whole, military industrial complex. And apparently that is the drone that limped back from the ship that got blown up with the data about who did what. And thus, every time a new colony ship went out, they were escorted by military. In fact, there we go. There's the constellation right there. Taurus and Aldebaran. So, I don't know if that... God, okay. So, I don't know if that looks anything like what we were looking at in the imaging, the Astro imaging app, but we'll take a look. We're going to go back here. Hit up that histogram. We're already 11 frames in. We'll switch to green. Hard to tell over here. I'm just checking if it's out of focus. It is kind of out of focus, isn't it? Yeah. The color green is always a little tricky to get. I always forget what filter I was on, so I have to double check. Okay, that was red. And I feel like that was kind of out of focus. That was kind of out of focus. I'm not 100% on this, but I'm a little concerned of that. I may have to reshoot. Yeah, that might have been out of focus there. I don't know. I mean, some of these other stars look like they're in focus, though. Yeah, like reading comic books on an Amazon app is way more like, so basically you get this cool guided view where you can swipe through, and obviously if I rotate my phone it'll rotate it unless I don't have it set to rotate. All right, well, looks like it doesn't want to rotate on this phone, but normally if I rotate the screen on my other phone it does rotate. I don't know why anyone would want to read a comic book in this view like this. I mean, sure, yeah, this would be kind of brutal. Yeah, that's brutal. All right, whatever. I'm not going to try that right now. So, I mean, that looks like it's in focus, so we'll let it take pictures of it in green. Got some serious halos on there. Yeah, I think it's time I pick a different target and stop wasting time on the Taurus constellation. Why is it, motherfucker? My laptop is connected by Wi-Fi, which means that the connection between my laptop and my everything is going to be slower, even though I have a wire running to the yard. It must have gotten loose. That kind of sucks. It's kind of inconvenient. Yeah, I'm not going back outside, so it's going to just have to be. So is that worthwhile to take a picture of? It looks so faint, but when we zoom in on it, it starts to look like something. This one looks interesting. It's the letter Y star cluster, but what is this behind it? The tadpoles, is that what it's called? Cluster associated with nebulosity. Doesn't have a magnitude, so I'm not really prepared to take a picture of it without knowing what I'm taking a picture of. Spider Nebula. That looks kind of interesting. H3 region. Does that mean I can use hydrogen to image it? I think I'm willing to try out the Spider Nebula. Let's double check its position in the night sky. I gotta be careful. This Wi-Fi thing is gonna give me a hard time. All right. Double-edged sword. Okay, actually, no, this is fine. It's already still above us, but over the meridian. So yeah, I was really looking forward to looking over this Forever War comic, but I always forget how disappointing the Amazon comic book reader is. And so this comic book is based on an older book from a Vietnam War vet, and you know, they have a lot of like throwback space shuttles in this book. I mean, we don't even fly the space shuttle anymore, but according to this book, we're flying them in the future. And I guess these people are under acceleration, so it's like not so much gravity, but when the ship is under acceleration, you feel like you're under 2 times gravity. So after 3 weeks of carrying around twice as much weight as normal, it's no picnic except for cautious exercises. We stayed in bed during the greatest part of the trip. So basically, these people had to lay down for most of the trip because the ship is under acceleration. You could break a bone. You could hurt yourself easily, if you weigh twice as much as your normal body weight. Now, this doesn't make sense. We were told not to sleep. We had constant sensations of choking and being crushed in. Alarm woke us each hour to prevent blood pooling and bed sores. One woman got so fatigued that she slept unmoving for hours and had a rib fracture pushed through her chest wall. Ouch. The following period, orbiting in free fall, was a painful test for some stomachs, vertigo, and uncontrolled. Okay, that's kind of nasty. So basically, they were training on that moon, and that lady got killed, and this other guy gets injured, but he was sort of less fortunate because he got stuck on the moon in a wheelchair, basically with like a double amputee. And then they go to a moon called Stargate, and it's called Stargate 1 because it's orbiting a collapsar, basically a special type of black hole that they use in order to go to different parts of the galaxy. And so they plunge towards the black hole for their first collapsar jump. They go to their first planet, they do some foot pounding, some ground pounding after landing in their shuttle, after landing on water and on a beach, and this planet has like half the gravity or something like that, so it looks kind of weird. They stumble into these weird creatures that aren't intelligent, but they have the ability to kill people using ESP, and they don't mean to do it. They're just kind of stupid if that's what they do, and if you shoot one of them, I mean, apparently shooting one of them really exasperated the situation. It caused someone to get like a brain aneurysm. Then they see an enemy plane above head, and you see this weird alien riding on what looks like a broomstick, although in this picture he don't look that ugly. In the book, they describe him as looking quite ugly. They get some satellite images of the base. They get followed around by the weird animals that are stupid, but they cause brain aneurysms. And they proceed to attack the base. In fact, they don't just attack the base. Before going, everyone was planted with a hypnotic suggestion so that they would kill and love it. And basically, when this guy says some magic words, everyone just kind of goes crazy and starts shooting everything. Heck, I think a couple of soldiers shot other soldiers in the act of doing it. And ultimately, they do dispatch the aliens, but one of the aliens escapes. In the book, the alien base is described as much more exotic than what we're seeing here. They tried dogpiling on one of the aliens to capture it alive, but apparently they had like a suicide device. And then after they left, their ship was being followed by an alien ship. And I think this is actually their second trip. Every time they go on a new trip, they come back to Earth, and technology is significantly more advanced because the act of traveling near the speed of light causes time to pass slower for the people on the ship than for, for people on Earth. So, you spend like what feels like a year on the ship. You come back to Earth, and it's been like 10 years for everyone else. And so they come back 10 years later, and they got some newer technology. So early in the book, the ship is flying at 2 Gs and people are breaking bones. Now the ship could fly at like 5 or 10 Gs and it can accelerate and make all kinds of sharp turns. And now the ship has acceleration couches or acceleration tanks. And basically, they look like little individual tanks that you lay down inside of naked, and you get hooked up to different ports that, evacuate your waste, but they also fill you up with like a type of juice that cushions your organs when you're under acceleration. So the idea is to allow the body to survive without getting internal injuries from, being under high G forces and acceleration. At one point, the enemy ship fired a missile at them, blew up part of their ship, but luckily, like the most of the ship survived. It was just that now a bunch of crew members died while sleeping, and a bunch of the rooms that had all of the weapons got messed up, so they couldn't complete their mission. They had no choice but to go back home. He gets back to Earth. The main character, his name is Commander Lieutenant Mandela, and he gets back to Earth the first time. It's like 20 years later, and his mom is old, and his brother is like living on the moon, and his dad is dead, and all of this different shit. But anyway, I don't want to ruin the story for anyone. I do recommend it, and if anybody's ever read this book, I would definitely be down for a discussion. That's a cool little plane. And in fact, like at one point, this guy gets injured on a mission and goes to a hospital planet or a resort planet slash hospital planet. And he's technically 213 years old according to the books, but of course he's really in his early 30s, in reality. And I don't know if they depict how he gets injured, but it was kind of cool. He was on like a landing craft, which this comic doesn't really do justice to, because in the book, the landing craft is described as a ugly machine that is more for landing than it is for, taking off. So the idea is the landing craft is designed to get like heavily damaged. It's designed to pretty much bring the people down and then separate from the people. And then the landing craft will harass the enemy. It'll shoot some lasers at the enemy and then get blown up. And then the craft that's supposed to bring them back up, if they win the battle, that one looks much nicer. It would look more like a shuttle. It would be able to land and take back off and bring them back to the ship. But in the book, the landing craft is almost like nothing but a frame with some engines and some weapons on it. It's designed to drop you off, detach you, let you, get on the ground. But as it's landing, the back of the ship gets blown up, sort of like this, but once again, it didn't look like this. And the guy basically loses an arm and a leg. In fact, in this version of the comic, he loses a leg, his girlfriend loses an arm. I say lose a little something, and then they get to regrow the arm. And in the book, it's quite hilarious because they have the ability to regrow missing limbs. But it looks quite bizarre to have, muscle and flesh growing and nerves growing under a plastic bag. It looks really weird. In fact, they had a lot of weird things going on. Like, yeah, anyway, let's see. Let's just skip ahead. Here we are. This is one of the coolest parts, the cover art gallery. And basically, all of the comic book covers. You got the guy in his battle armor spacesuit. They're on the first planet that they attack. I guess that's when one of the ships got attacked. Clearly, that's like some kind of, combat shuttle cockpit. This looks more like nightmare imagery than anything else. I mean, you got skeletons inside the space helmet. This looks kind of dope, in my opinion. I think it looks really cool. Those must be the aliens in spacesuits, or is that one of the guys having the reaction? Okay, so, soldiers doing their thing. You got a little tank in the background. You got some fighter craft, and this guy shooting some weaponry. You got the aliens in their own respective suits holding their own weapons. Now, one thing the comic doesn't do justice to is the evolution of Captain or Lieutenant Mandela's spacesuit. Throughout the book, every time he comes back to Earth, he goes through like 4 iterations of the suit. And I've seen people do some really cool artwork that does much more justice than this, but still, cool concept, whatever we're looking at. This is one of the ships with the, I think, sleep tanks on it to keep you alive under extreme acceleration. That looks like more nightmare content. That's him and his girlfriend, with their missing limbs in the hospital. This is cool. This guy's hooked up to a, what is it? ALSC, Advanced Life Experience, ALXC, Advanced Life Experience Acceleration Computer, or something like that. And basically, it's a computer that lets you relive battles of times past and really just learn. It's like a learning computer. It's like a way of teaching a soldier or an officer a lot of information in a really short period of time. And they basically just feed you sugar and hook you up to the machine, and you get like, the experience of 10 years in the matter of like a week or something insane like that. At one point in the book, they create a new force field that makes it impossible to use guns and laser weapons. And basically, the only way you can fight is by using swords. So they actually have to fight aliens using swords and shields and longbows. And I think that concludes this overview of the Forever War by Joe Haldeman. At some point, I gotta read myself this book about sailing ships, but really, I mean, I hope this book has pictures in it. It's got some maps in there. Okay, I like maps are good. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of text. And I don't think they had an audio version of this book either, which is brutal. Let's see. We can close that. Close that. Close that. Close that. And sure will I get back to the remote session here. And I think what we're going to do is get a couple of frames in the red filter, green filter. I think what I'm going to do is achieve sharp focus in. Actually, we can do it like that. I have an idea. I always like checking what games are on sale when I get this pop up because it's like, actually, I don't like pop ups, but the Steam app, they get you. They know you're buying games. So if they present some games to you in a pop up, you'll actually look at it if they're on sale. So these stars are in focus right now in the blue filter, but when I switch to the green filter, I think they're going to be like really out of focus. And if they're not, that'll be great. I have dust in my mouth. But yeah, this is the Elgato face camera. And it's really cool because it does chroma keying really well. I'm going to a different world over there. But I'm probably going to just let this run, go to sleep, let it run. But I really want to aim this at a target that, will be rewarding. And usually what I do is when I'm laying down in my bed, I'll make some adjustments to this periodically. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up an application called Parsec. And what Parsec does is it's like remote desktop. It's just a little better, I guess. So we connect my Astro photography laptop. And can we make it full screen? We can make it full screen. We could probably even make it more full screen, although, yeah, that should do. Tomorrow, I'm probably going to stream or do a video early in the day where I demonstrate this device. This is called the Epilogue GB operator, and it's basically a device that lets you back up Game Boy games. And there are some dust particles inside of here. Oh yeah, look at that. It is exposed on the inside. I might have to take this apart one day to clean it. Not that I want to ruin it, but it's a really cool design. You know what I mean? Like you got like the circuit board. I think it's very elegantly designed. Got a little flex cable hooked up to the cartridge slot because, of course, that's what it does. You put Game Boy games in here, and you can back up the contents of the Game Boy game. Alrighty. That's kind of cool. Yeah, I think I'll do for now. Oh, I keep staying up like this. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, this is a good case if you need a rugged case. But I would say I'll stick with the smaller OtterBox for now because if I'm seen using the big case, I think people will make fun of me. Nah, that's not why. But it's a tough decision, you know? I mean, like, I want to protect my old phone, but it's such a rugged phone to begin with. It's probably not, well, I don't want to jinx it by saying it's not going to break, but it's pretty rugged. And obviously, the phone doesn't fit in this because the holster is for this. So the question is, do I keep doing Astro imaging? I'm gonna say, I mean, I'm gonna keep doing it, but I don't think I'm gonna run the stream all night because, you know, I mean, this seems like a waste to keep it running. But yeah, any words of wisdom? Well, let's see. Is anybody else watching? Nope, no viewers. Okay, cool. So I think with that, I'm gonna call it quits before I suffer from compulsive yawning on stream. I thank everyone who tuned in for watching, which would be all of one viewers. Thank you, Moira Kitty. And yeah, you know, so the plan is, let's see here. Said I actually do have to finish this up. Okay, great. We got some sharp green filter images here. And this low quality compression artifacting, that's because the computer is on Wi-Fi right now. It shouldn't be on Wi-Fi, but it is. Now, I fully expect the red filter to be way out of focus. But yeah, I think I'll just come back tomorrow. If I have any cool pictures or if I do any image processing, I will go over that tomorrow. So yeah, please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas, please leave a comment. And for now, we shall end transmission.